of very unique design. And they said you don't have air travel without airports. That's very intriguing. Can you explain air travel without airports?
Sure. Well, nice to meet you, by the way, and thank you for coming up to Delhi for the event here. So we're developing a hybrid electric aircraft for regional air mobility. And when we say it doesn't need airports, this aircraft allows our operators to get people closer to where they live, work, and play. So normally when you think about an airport, you think about this very, very large space. But we only need a runway that's 100 meters long to take off and land. So you don't need a traditional airport, you just need a small area, and that could be a parking lot, it could be an old road, or it could be a dedicated new runway, but it's just very, very small. And so we can get people in closer to where they want to go, or provide connectivity, say from a large city like New Delhi, out to villages all around, or up in the Himalayas, or up in parts of northeast India, where it's traditionally very hard to go by ground, or it's very, very expensive to go by helicopter. And so we can actually get people to their destination for less than half the cost of a helicopter.
Half the cost of a helicopter?
Less than half the cost of a helicopter, yes.
That's pretty cool.
Right, and so by being able to fly into those tight spaces, right, these small areas, you can open up the world to more and more people.
Better connectivity to more intricate areas.
Yes.
All at 50% of the price, probably.
Less than 50% of the price of a helicopter.
50%. I'm already sold. But how soon do you think we can see this becoming an actual reality? Like right now we talked about it.
Not soon enough, yes. So we expect certification in the United States in 2029. And then we'll get validation from the DGCA, who is the regulatory body in India that regulates aircraft. They'll validate the aircraft sometime after that. So within a few years after we certify it in the United States, we'll have it here in India. And we're here at the show this week to support our customers, Jet Set Go and Blade India, who have already signed purchase agreements with us to purchase this aircraft and operate the aircraft in India.
That's lovely. How many aircrafts have they signed up for, if I may ask?
Around 200 aircraft.
That's a lot.
Well, it sounds like a lot, but India's a big place. So I don't think that's going to be enough, actually, for them.
I agree with you.
Yes.
Probably the pilot project, 200.
200 is the start, yes.
What about back home in the US? When do you anticipate, start out there?
Right. So we have customers all over the world. We have many customers in North America, of course. We have customers in Europe. We have customers in India, Brazil, Australia, and in total we have orders for over 2,000 aircraft all around the world. We think India is a wonderful market just because of the need for connectivity in India, the growing ambitions of people in India and the country as a whole, right? And the road infrastructure is not that good, and so rather than trying to make better roads, which is really expensive, bring this new sustainable aircraft, right? It is an electric aircraft, right? What we call a hybrid electric aircraft. So it has a little bit of gas, a little bit of electricity, and the best of each of those worlds. It gives you the longer range that you need to fly in countries as large as India.
When you say long range, what range are we looking at?
We're looking at about 500 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers in that range.
That's cool.
Yeah. So traditionally might go, so when I say electric, like a pure battery electric aircraft, can go with today's technology and technology for the foreseeable future about 100 kilometers. So that might be good for very short missions, like maybe one side of Delhi to the other, or Hyderabad, or Mumbai. But to go really, into the Himalayas, or to go around the country, go outside of the main cities, you need something longer. And so 300 kilometers, 500 kilometers are ranges that this aircraft can operate and still get into very small spaces. And that's the secret. And there's no aircraft out there today that has this capability. So, yes.
many people can you seat in one of these?
9 passengers in the back of the aircraft, and then you require a minimum of 1 pilot, but the operator can put 2 pilots in if they want. Also.
When you say a minimum of 1 pilot, is that regulation, because of the authorities like the FAA and the DGCA, or is it that the aircraft itself requires it to be manned?
So typically larger aircraft are certified to require 2 pilots. Smaller aircraft like this one are only required to have 1 pilot. So typically the regulators have the larger the aircraft, the more pilots, because there's more at risk. But we often see smaller operators who operate smaller aircraft often want to put 2 pilots in just for additional safety, or there's training, they're training 1 pilot while the other one is the qualified pilot. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to put 2 pilots in there. Yeah.
But in an aircraft that seats like 9 passengers, do you think you're going to have like a class divide with economy and business?
Probably not. It's up to the operators. If they want to do that, they can. But in this type of aircraft, it's usually all 1 class. Now, the interior, we don't have any pictures right here of the interior, but the seats are actually quite well spaced out. So you have a lot of room.
So what kind of pitch are we?
A 34-inch pitch, which is like premium economy on an airliner. Yeah. Plenty of room for you. You're not that tall, so you would have plenty of room. Yes.
I bet I can stretch a whole
You
lot.
can stretch out like this. You have plenty of room. You would enjoy it. And the average flight can be 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So the flight time will be somewhere in there, depending on the mission that the operator wants to fly.
And at what altitude would we be flying at? About 10 or below?
Typically below 10,000 feet. So the longer flights, you might be at 10,000 feet. The shorter flights, you might be at about 2,000 feet.
So what about ATC? Would you require assistance from ATC, or will you need a separate monitoring system?
So this aircraft operates the same way as any other 9-seat aircraft operates today, or helicopter. And all aircraft actually operate within the same air traffic control system. It's the same for large planes and for small planes. So this aircraft does not require any special air traffic control, or doesn't require any changes to the current way air traffic control operates.
So we already have that kind of infrastructure in place.
You already have it. And even though it can take off and land at very short distances, it also works very well just from regular airports. So this can fly into New Delhi or Mumbai or Hyderabad or Bangalore, wherever it needs to fly into. But from those large airports, it could also fly into small villages that maybe don't have airports today. Because it doesn't make sense to build a large airport. It does make sense to maybe use a soccer field instead to fly out of that, right?
I didn't really think about it.
Yes, it's the size of a soccer field. Yeah.
But now we have all these tiny aircrafts flying much lower, and if you think of densely populated cities, tier 1 cities like Mumbai and Delhi,
Yeah.
do you think it's a little probably unsafe, or do we have systems in place like modern day aircrafts have the TCAS for collision avoidance? Is that inbuilt in these aircrafts as well?
So this will have a TCAS, which is a collision avoidance system, on board as well. You'll also have air traffic control that can warn you of other things. And unlike traditional turboprop, so other traditional aircraft has typically 1 turboprop engine. If that fails, then you don't have a backup. This actually has 5 independent sources of power. So there's 4 independent batteries plus the turbo generator. So any one of those can fail and the plane can continue to fly very safely. So it's actually safer than traditional aircraft. Plus we have a fly-by-wire system on board, which means the computers make sure that the pilot doesn't do anything he or she is not supposed to do.
It's pretty lovely.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting new technology. Not only allows you to fly into short spaces, it makes it much safer than traditional aircraft as well. And you had mentioned about flying over the cities, and nobody likes noise, right? So because this is a new type of electric aircraft, it's actually much quieter than traditional aircraft. And it's because of the way the propellers are designed and the electric motors and a variety of other factors that actually make it significantly quieter. So if it's flying overhead the city, you should not be able to hear it. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to getting into one of these actually.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we're right at a very interesting point in aviation history where this new kind of technology that has immediate benefits for you and me can be realized.
Wow, it was wonderful talking to you, Marc. And we really hope this becomes a very tangible reality. And all get on board this flight.
Wonderful.
Travel a whole lot faster, cheaper, and be even more connected. Thank you.
Cool.
So, Mr. Marc, could you tell us about these aircraft? At some point will be unmanned and unpiloted aircraft
Right.
flying with passengers in.
Yes. So I'm glad you asked that question. So today the regulators don't allow us to fly without a pilot. But the technology is actually there. We could do it today if we were allowed to, but we're not. So the plane is designed with a pilot in mind, but with the ability in the future to be remotely piloted or unmanned. Okay? And the core architecture that we talked about earlier with this fly-by-wire system, that means there's no mechanical cables from the pilot stick to the control surfaces. It means computers control everything. And so because we have this foundational digital system, that lends itself very well to relatively easily being able to go to a remote system, a remotely piloted system. So we are starting out with probably the military as the first customer. And then on the commercial side, we'll start out with cargo, carrying cargo without a pilot. And then once that has experience in the field, then the next step will be carrying passengers without a pilot on board. And the pilot will be located remotely to keep an eye on things. But in general, the aircraft will be designed to be able to fly by itself and to be able to detect other aircraft nearby and to avoid those aircraft, and then to take off and land safely all by itself. That technology is there today, actually. But we have to wait for the regulators to feel comfortable with that.
So that would be like a work from home job, right, for the pilots?
Yes. Yes.
It's pretty cool. I'm a pilot, but I work from home.
Personally, I'd rather be in the cockpit than sitting at home at a desk.
Are you a
But
pilot?
I am a pilot.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
What kind of aircrafts are you flying?
Well, I flew in the U.S. Navy, and then I flew small Cessnas and Cirrus and those kinds of aircraft. And I built actually my own aircraft about 20 years ago. And I flew that for about 10 years. So that was a lot of fun. That was a great project. I would recommend you do it if you can. Build your own aircraft.
Maybe someday. I don't think that would happen quite soon. But Miss Marc has hands-on experience of flying an aircraft, not just any aircraft, but multiple aircrafts. So you're in right hands.